Hi, everybody. So I'm really excited to be here. We are talking the next episode of the Gilmore Girls revival. We are looking at the episode called Spring, and I'm here with my friend Abby. You want to say hi?
Hi, guys.
Yeah, and they have 4 episodes of this revival, and so one for each season. We're now on spring. We already did winter, so you want to check that out. And this will be spoiler filled, so if you haven't watched the episode, then go watch it and then come and listen to our thoughts on it. And so I do have the chat room open as well if you would like to add any of your comments. So I was really excited for the response we had on the winter episode. So hopefully we'll get some of those same comments. That was really great. And so what were your overall thoughts of this episode, maybe compared to the last episode, to the series as a whole? What did you think about it, Abby?
I feel like I appreciate what's going on with Lorelai. I actually kind of like the path they're taking with the whole counseling and stuff. Because I think in the last in winter, we really find out whoa, Lorelai is a little more flawed than we thought. Maybe she has some serious issues, and Emily does too. But I think throughout the series, it was always oh well, Emily and Lorelai are both kind of at each other all the time. It's definitely a two-person sort of unhealthy relationship. They're both a part of it, but Emily was really the person we blamed. And I feel like in this series, it's giving more maybe giving Emily a little more credit and giving Lorelai a little more saying,
Yeah.
You know what, she's a big part of this. And so I think the whole counseling thing is a good road. I like that. It helps redeem her from some of the she was a total jerk in the last episode, and it helps us kind of feel like at least she's starting to flesh out whatever's going on.
Towards the very end it started to, but I have to admit I didn't really love this episode that much. I don't like it when I watch something, whether it's TV or a movie or whatever it is, and I feel like everybody that I'm seeing is a jerk. And I get it that sometimes you kind of have to have that in a TV show to kind of, it's just one piece of the puzzle, and then you see sort of redemption. But I just felt like, man, Rory is kind of unlikable in this. Boy, Lorelai is unlikable. Emily is kind of unlikable, and it's just starting to feel kind of why am I spending my time with these people? That are just so judgmental and so unpleasant. But then it did kind of come around, and there were some parts that I liked, but for a while there, I was really oh my gosh, these people. I was struggling.
Yeah, we're just kind of at it with Rory. I was the same way in this episode. I was I don't really like either one of them right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Rory, maybe we're just at that point in her story arc, in her character arc, where she's at a bad point in her life and she's being a turd.
Yeah.
And she's not responding to her circumstances very well.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that, but yeah, she was very immature, I thought, and very entitled, and I don't know, just I just didn't. Even Emily, I was frustrated with this episode. It's just I don't know. I just, like I said, I just hate it when I'm watching something and I'm just I hate all of these people. These people are all horrible human beings.
Yeah, I still love Luke.
Yeah, that's true, Luke.
It's funny because if anything, I'm this series is showing me how awesome Luke is and how obnoxious everyone else is.
Yeah. I'm how is this possible that in an episode I'm feeling like Paris is the most likable person in this episode? How is this possible?
That's true. I also felt in the first episode, I was able to give a lot of leeway to the fan service type stuff. And in this episode, it wasn't as cute anymore. It was just okay, why don't we, like with Kirk, like why did we revisit the whole film thing when the whole thing with Kirk is that there's always something new and crazy and weird that's going on with him.
Right.
And so I was like, why not just come up with some new shenanigan? You know? I just felt
Yeah.
like kind of recycling their old stuff.
Well, so this is going to be my second question, but let's just go into, since you mentioned that. So Stars Hollow is kind of the protagonist almost in this episode, and you get like the International Food Festival, and that was kind of funny, that like they wanted 137 different countries or something to be represented in.
Right.
That was funny. I like that. And then they had the town meeting, which I actually thought was kind of awkward. Like, so the big thing is that they can't have this gay pride because there's only one gay person in the town. But
right.
That seems very weird to me. Like, you can't celebrate, like, if you want to celebrate people being gay or gay pride or whatever it is,
you don't
really need gay people.
Right. I thought that was a little strange. And I still feel like with the gay theme, like, they're too stereotyped in their choice of gays. Like, okay, Michelle's gay.
Well, and that was weird. Why wasn't he? I guess, is he still like in the closet or something, and everybody else doesn't know in the town? Because they didn't mention his name.
They didn't mention his name, but in an earlier episode in Winter, he mentions his husband.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But like when they were counting off all the gays in town, they didn't.
But I don't think Michelle lives in Stars Hollow.
Oh, okay, okay.
But then the other guy with his dog, it was like so stereotypical, so 90s stereotype. Yeah. And then even with Gypsy being gay, it's like, come on. Every single gay person is a stereotypical gay person in this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have them be people, because that's what they are.
Yeah. I mean, they can have different kinds of pets, and I mean, they don't have to, I don't know, it's just, it did feel very...
People who are weird about their pets.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I know, I just thought that was so strange that, like, they have to cancel the whole thing just because they only have why not celebrate that one person? Like, why do you have to have, like, that was weird to me. But
the one guy didn't seem like all that interested in it. Like, oh, we're going kayaking anyway.
Yeah, we're going kayaking anyway. I don't know. It was a very odd town council kind of thing. I thought that was strange. Yeah, and they almost was Gypsies? Is that her name? Uh-huh. That was awkward.
Gypsy's like trying to get him to realize, like, you're missing someone.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that was supposed to be charming, and it just came off as sort of awkward and weird. And then they have the movie night. So those are the three sort of town charming Stars Hollow moments or whatever. And yeah, you're right. The movie night felt kind of like, I don't know. It didn't quite work, but it was okay, I guess.
I liked Babette in that scene. I always like Babette.
Yeah.
She's fun.
She was fun, and yeah, trying to make all the different food. And they're like, no food in. So I guess they don't have a movie theater in Stars Hollow then, I guess. I forgot that.
Right. The black, white, and red movie theater that's really at the bookstore, I think.
Uh-huh.
And they just set it up.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess you're supposed to get, like, the awkwardness of Luke and Lorelai's kind of relationship in a way, because they were sitting on the love sofa or whatever, or...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, that was kind of a funny moment as they sit down on the love sofa. And
yeah.
It's like, gotten a lot of good use out of that. And they're like, oh, too late.
Awkward. Oh, boy. I wonder if they're like... Do you think that there really are any towns like Stars Hollow in real life? Like, or even that are even close? Because I grew up in a little town in Maryland called Middletown, and everybody was kind of nosy in a way, but, like, I don't know, like, there weren't that many things that were sort of like everybody kind of knew about and everyone kind of attended. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody was still pretty sort of splintered off, you know? There'd be like the Methodists would do sort of their thing, and and then there'd be another group that would all sort of be part of this thing, or there'd be the football people, football boosters, or I don't know.
I currently live in a town where I think as of the last census, the official population was like 2,500 or something. So it's a small town.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's definitely a greater degree, like a greater number and a greater degree of those things that are town things that our town does and that are traditions for us. Like, we have our summer festival thing, and pretty much every family I know in our town goes to it.
Yeah.
And have like the there's one high school, so the high school football team is a big deal, and like we go to games. We don't have any high school students, but we've gone to games here and there, and there is more of a sense of that like community thing. But I get the sense in Stars Hollow too that like, the people we see all the time aren't the only people there. They're
right.
Just
that's true.
People in Lorelai's circle. So
that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, we had probably 3,500, I think, people in our town, in Middletown. And I think the most exciting thing that ever happened in Middletown was actually Burkittsville, which was just down the road from us, which was where they filmed the Blair Witch Project. That was very exciting.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. And there were like people who would come like, the Blair, because that was like a huge deal back in the day. And
it was. That was a really big
deal. Because people thought it was real, So it was very exciting. But
we have another town that's kind of close by that I feel like kind of tries to make the Stars Hollow thing happen. Like they have every first Saturday they have an event in their town, and they just do a lot more stuff. But I feel like it kind of gets to be inorganic, like it's kind of too forced.
Yeah.
To a certain point. Where with our town, I feel like, we have some really kind of long-held traditions that people in town participate in, and they've come about organically. We haven't like tried to make everybody get together all the time.
Right. Yeah, I think that's true. Like, because we would the parades, we'd have a couple of parades. There was what was it? There was like a Maryland Heritage Day or something like that, and there was I think just one for 4th of July, or maybe it was homecoming. I can't remember, but it was like 2 parades a year. Those were some of the big things, and then you'd have like pancake breakfast for the firehouse, and so the things like that. But yeah. And I think
of course they're gonna like exaggerate.
Yeah.
That, but I think that's what they're getting at though, is that sense of that sort of greater sense of community that you have in a small town.
Yeah. I think if we had been part of one of the major churches, it probably would have been a little different. But because we went to church in the next town over, in Frederick, I think that maybe halted some of our social, bonding, I guess.
Yeah. Where our church building is out of town, but we actually have a branch of our church, or a ward from our church, that's like named after our town. So, I mean, we have a pretty big presence in our town, so it's not.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
It feels like when you go to a church event, you're interacting with a lot of people from town. And we've even had events that were like interfaith with some of the other churches.
Oh, that's cool. We had a comment from Bianca, sorry, my eyes today. Bianca Corinne says, Kirk had a lot of screen time in these specials, which I didn't expect. So, yeah. I
didn't expect that either, but when you think about it, he had a lot of screen time in the series also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was kind of your comic relief kind of character in a way. Probably more is the later. When did he was he on the show the whole time, or did he start towards the end, or do you remember?
That actor was in the show from the very beginning,
Okay.
but he had several different names at first.
Oh.
Yeah. So the actor came back and kept playing these different roles, and finally they just decided to make him that kind of just like segued into a role as this guy who does everything. Because they were using him so much, he was recognizable. Like, you have to give him a name.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Say, he did all the time.
I've heard of that. I'm trying to think, what is the show that that I'm trying to remember, it was Cheers with Frasier. I think that Frasier on Cheers was just sort of a pompous, arrogant guy, and people liked him so much they gave him a name and whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, okay. The next, my original first question I was going to do is, so the setup for this episode is Lorelai and Emily at therapy. It does not go well for them in therapy. And did you like this framework? And I found it hard to believe that Lorelai would really go to therapy. The whole premise alone, it seemed like, given what we'd experienced in the last episode, it seemed very hard to believe that she would have gone, to me.
I think it didn't seem too hard to believe to me, just because it was kind of her mother's hold on her. She kind of got roped into going. The surprising thing to me was that she kept going back. I also think, though, that Lorelai is kind of open to that kind of thing in general. So I don't know. I don't find it unbelievable that she'd go. It was a little hard to swallow that
she would
either one of them would keep going. Yeah, because I mean, how many times did they go and they didn't even talk? Like that kind of got tired quickly.
Yeah, it just was like, oh, these people are so unlikable. Like, come on, you're grown up. Let's talk. Let's work on this. Because at this point, like, Lorelai she's supposed to be, if Rory's 32, that means that she's almost 50 years old, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. She needs to get it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that frustrated me about that is that the therapist is just like sitting there waiting for them to talk. Like, I haven't spent a lot of time in counseling, but I've spent enough to know that they don't just like sit there and wait for you to talk. Like, they'll ask you about like safe topics,
right,
to get you talking.
Yeah, I have been in therapy before, never with another person, so I guess I can't speak to that. But yeah, they you don't do therapy unless you have a specific, nowadays, at least in my experience, you don't do it unless you have a specific objective of like, this is what we're trying to do. This, we're trying to help you to, get over your grief, to, whatever it is. Like, you have a specific objective, and then you like create a plan of like, here's how. That's the whole thing with cognitive therapy. The whole idea of like, the sort of Freudian subject lying on the couch, and spewing their sort of problems to this therapist, that just doesn't happen anymore. But I mean, I don't really care about that. They can have this kind of artistic license, but yeah, I just didn't know if I bought that these characters would even be there and do that. That was my main problem.
Yeah.
But there were some funny. I did think it was funny that she's like, I didn't used to smoke. Therapist, that line made me laugh.
Therapist, yeah, that
was a good line. Yeah. Did you see sort of growth at all through that with them, or?
I think the purpose of it was to be like, ultimately be a catalyst for Lorelai to start working through her crap and stop being an awful person.
Yeah.
Because we need her to not be an awful person.
I agree. It was definitely a Lorelai
focused. It worked for that purpose, but maybe it was given too much time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, So why do you think that Rory is doing this with Logan? What's going on with her? Why is she? Because it ended. She rejected him, right, at the end of the series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
He
Yeah.
proposed. He told him no. That she liked that everything was wide open. And so it's like she's kind of come back full circle to everything being wide open. And this time it's not fun anymore because she's in her 30s and she should have an established career and she should have a relationship of some kind or have had a relationship of some kind that's steady and stable.
Yeah, because Rory, I mean, she was a mess in this episode because, I mean, like, Logan was a total kind of a jerk, like he's just using her, and he just seemed like...
the whole thing is icky. It makes me like Rory and Logan a lot less. Like,
yeah.
I was fully team Logan at the end of the series, and now I'm just kind of like, ew, get away from this guy.
Well, and it's not like, I mean, I don't know anything about these kinds of relationships, of course, but like, you can put them in a movie or in a series in a way it's sort of kind of played as an empowering thing that, oh, I'm this like confident woman and whatever, but it's really not. And so you're just like, what is her motivation for doing this? Why do you think that, if you could get into her head, why do you think that she's doing this with Logan?
I would imagine my feeling is it's related to her like sort of confidence slide that she's in. Like, her confidence has really been on the downslide, and it's just kind of Logan is someone comfortable, he's really attractive, he's wealthy, like it just kind of is a way to
just easy
make herself feel a little better. Yeah, it's a self-soothing kind of a thing, like, my life isn't what I want it to be, but this is fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He still likes me.
Yeah, I mean...
Which is pathetic, frankly. It's pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, come on. She should... She's so beautiful. Maybe that's part of it, too. It's like, come on. She could have any guy, let's be honest. If she went into a bar or whatever, she could totally have any guy. So why she's in this toxic relationship with some guy who doesn't respect her, and I don't know, is weird. But yeah, I guess it's just that he's sort of easy, and I
find that gross. Like, I feel like Logan really grew as a character in his relationship with Rory in the original series. Yeah.
Well,
and this is like a total backslide for him.
Well, and speaking of going into a bar, she has a one-night stand in this episode, and somehow she's like more horrified by that than this toxic relationship with somebody who has a fiance, and it's it's like, actually, I mean, none of these things are things that I would do, but I if I was going to rank them, I would say that one-night stand is less sort of worrisome than this extended toxic relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, although I also think okay, if you're sleeping with people, I obviously believe that you shouldn't be sleeping with people that you are not. And that's my personal point of view, and I think one of the reasons that's a good rule is because this gets really fuzzy, because engaged isn't married.
Right.
It's commitment, but it's not legally binding. So
right.
Then, if you keep it to legally married people, then there's no gray area. There's no fuzziness. There's no...
Right.
He's engaged, but he doesn't really like her.
Right. Well, and you have somebody who's made that lifetime commitment to you, and you've made them to them. It's just different. But yeah, I don't know. So her behavior was just really strange, and I didn't like Logan at all in this. He just seemed really like womanizer, and just really, he's like Barney Stinson or something.
Yeah, it was icky.
Yeah.
It was like Logan is who we thought he was when we very first met him.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, Bianca says, Corinne says, I hated that they introduced Paul just to show how inconsiderate Rory is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true. Like, all she has to do is call him up, and she's got
And say,
3
hey, I don't wanna do
phones.
this anymore. Like, come on.
She has to do is say, you know what, this is just not working out. Sorry, more power to you. And she also says, it seemed like she and Logan had been sleeping together for a while, probably for the whole 2 years she'd been with Paul. Yeah, it does seem that way, which just makes it more toxic to me.
Yeah, and more icky. Like, there's nothing cute or appealing about this. It's not good.
Right. Yeah, so...
Even Lorelai was kind of like, really? You had a one-night stand and you're sleeping with Logan? Like, really? And Lorelai's not like the morality
she's not like a
police.
paragon of virtue or something. Yeah, I agree.
Even she's kind of like, oh, okay.
And man, her whole work thing just drove me crazy this episode. Because, like, I find it very hard to believe, because she had like 3 different interviews in this episode, and all 3 she was ineptly prepared for those interviews. I mean, the fact that, first of all, I don't understand why she couldn't have made a good story out of the line story. That sounded like interesting. Like, she's like a good writer should be able to like make a story off that. I feel like that's not like some crazy thing.
She's interviewing people, just like finding out why they're in line, but she doesn't find out anything else about them.
She's like falling asleep when she's talking to them.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not a reporter, and even I know you ask more questions than that.
Yeah.
Come on, Rory.
And then like she goes to she goes to 2 different interviews where she has no ideas at all of what she wants to report on, what she wants to talk about, and she's all like offended at the blogging place at the online magazine that they aren't interested in her, but they absolutely shouldn't be interested in her. I mean, she didn't have a single idea. She didn't have a single thing like to present to them. Like, she was so unprofessional, and she's the one accusing them of being unprofessional. Like, if they've been contacting her for over a year, like, you think that she would have some idea of like what they want and like be ready to go and, have it prepared and do sample articles and all of that kind of stuff. Like,
and I mean, you write for a living. People who write for a living have ideas, and they have their ideas written down, and they're always moving on to the next thing and thinking of another project, and there are tons of ideas that end up falling by the wayside, but they have ideas. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that she walks into this place.
Yeah, like, people that want to be screenwriters, let's say, they'll do like a spec script, and they'll have like 15. So if somebody's not interested in their Simpsons spec script, we've got a Arrested Development one, or we've got here's my spec script for the Goldbergs, or they literally will have just scores of them, because and this is the same way with people. Like, my sister is a children's book writer, and she's got like many irons in the fire. she's not just focused on just like one project and one book, like, and so it was just like
typical of a writer who writes for a living. Now, there are plenty of writers who publish one book, and that was kind of their baby project, and that's what they wanted. But that's not where Rory's at. Rory is a professional writer. That's what she does.
Right. Well, and those kind of people typically are still writing lots. Like, you're talking your Harper Lees or your what's his name? Shoot. The guy who wrote Catcher in the Rye. I can't think. Salinger. Salinger had like just files and files and files of stories and stuff that he wrote, but he just didn't publish them all. Like, so I don't know. It just seemed unbelievable to me that and not only that she would do it once, but then she would do it again. She had what was it, Condé or whatever interview.
Condé Nast or whatever.
Which I don't even know why they gave her that interview. It was like, it's not like...
Mitchum.
What's that?
It's because of Mitchum Huntsberger.
Oh, because of Loganstad. Yeah, and if you get that kind of opportunity and you wouldn't have like, it's just, she's like, well, I wrote in the New Yorker once, which how in the heck she got that gig? I have no idea at this point.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, I'm really disappointed in her professionally. Like,
Yeah. And she seemed to think that they were the ones at the blog, that they were the ones that were being rude to her. And it's like, no, honey, you're 32 years old. You should have figured this out by now.
yeah. I mean, on the one hand, though, maybe she's finding, in a lot of ways, she's kind of had things handed to her. Yes, she worked really hard at Chilton, but that was handed to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she worked really hard at Yale, but again, handed to her. And then she probably was able to kind of ride the Yale wave for a while there. And maybe she's finding, oh, I'm not having things handed
Yeah.
to me anymore. What do I do?
Bianca says, just some great comments here, says, it's so different from how Rory was when she was young. She used to prepare and over-prepare for things. She's backsliding so much.
That's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm. And you saw that because they went back to Chilton.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
So there was that definite, if that was the point they were trying to make, it was very clear, that she wasn't the person that she was, when she was in high school, I guess. But
I like the prospect of her teaching and getting her master's degree and going back there.
Yeah. I mean, I just found like, it seemed like to me getting the story, she was almost insulted about the story about the lines. When to me that sounds kind of interesting. I think that's interesting. Why do people get in lines? Like,
Didn't they even find a line that was like not even going to anywhere? It was just two guys sitting on the stairs.
They were just eating lunch.
Like, do some interviews of people in that line.
Yeah.
Like, this is an interesting phenomenon. I would read about it if you did a piece online about it.
Yeah, I mean, she wants to be. They made a comparison to David Foster Wallace in there, which I actually find him incredibly insufferable, his writing. But nevertheless, like David Foster Wallace made a whole book about a lobster. It's considered the lobster. It's all about lobster, or at least one of the stories is. And so like he could certainly have made a good story about the lines. That's for sure. And so, yeah, it was disappointing to me, and it was just sort of frustrating. And the fact that she was sort of whiny about it and felt like, oh, these people aren't giving me what I deserve. They're not giving me the stories I deserve. They're not giving me the job that I deserve. It's like,
yeah, she's very entitled. It's gross.
Yeah, very entitled.
The line thing reminded me of when she's at Yale. And she's first starting to write for the Yale Daily News.
Uh-huh.
And she's decided to do a piece about downloading music. And like Napster. And Paris and Doyle both tell her, oh, you must have a new spin because that's a really tired topic. And then she goes and she interviews some kid who's downloaded a bunch of music. And she asks him a few questions that are all dead ends. And she realizes this is a terrible topic. And these interviews were very reminiscent of that interview where she's just like, this isn't getting me anywhere. Except this time, there's somewhere to go with it. She's just not doing anything about it. And that annoyed me.
Yeah, I agree. It annoyed me as well. And yet somehow she has the financial abilities to jet drop over to London every week. Like that seems.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Like I can guarantee you, getting published in the New Yorker does not pay you that much. Like it's really not that good a gig.
And it was one story. It wasn't like she had continuously pieces with them. Yeah,
and being the ghostwriter for some wacko, like that doesn't pay that good either. So she, Young says. She was offered a teaching position out of the blue. Things are made so easy for her. Yeah, so let's talk about Chilton. They go back, her and Paris. And I must say, I did think the Paris fighting, I think it's Francie is her name, right? In the bathroom. That was hilarious. That was really funny.
Yeah.
That was the best sort of part of
Ah, there you are.
Ah, we're back.
Yay. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
No, I don't know what happened either. Let's see if it's going because it blacked out on the channel.
Oh, did it?
Let's
The
see.
little orange live thing is still up.
Yeah, I was just about to try again, and that was really weird. Oh, Google Hangouts, why do you delight in tormenting me? Okay, so we're back. That was an adventure. Um, anyway, so yeah, so they go back to Chilton and Paris. Is that woman is Francie? He's is she's dating Doyle? Is that it or something? It was hilarious, but I was a little unclear of what was going on.
I'm still unclear on it myself. I'd have to watch it again.
All right, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I was like, what is it? I guess that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if Bianca, who's in the chat, if she understood kind of more what was going on.
Was she with Tristan?
Oh yeah, she says Tristan.
Yeah. Because the whole reason Paris started flipping out was because she saw Tristan and like kind of.
Who's Tristan? Remind me.
So Tristan used to call Rory Mary, and he really liked Rory and was trying to hit on her all the time and stuff.
Okay.
And then the first time she breaks up with Dean, she goes to a party and kisses Tristan. And so that created its own drama. But Paris had a mad crush on Tristan since she was in kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
For a long time. And he's a jerk, though. He's not a nice guy at all. And he ends up getting kicked out of school. I think the actor got a gig on a different show.
On One Tree Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're saying, Bianca's saying it's Chad Michael Murray, who was on One Tree Hill.
Yeah, it was Chad Michael Murray. He was a jerk, and Paris really liked him, and they went out on a date once, and she thought it went really well, and then he friend zones her, basically. So she has a lot of, like, emotional baggage that goes along with Tristan. So that's why she freaked out. And I think he must have been with Francie when she saw him, because he was, like, leaning over a woman.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. But it was a funny fight. I enjoyed it. It made me laugh.
Awesome.
They did a good job with that. So, all right. It looks like... stupid Google. It looks like it's not switching off to you, so I'll just make sure I do that. I'll try to do it manually from now on. Okay. Let's see. So Bianca says, yeah, it was weird that he was at an alumni event as he didn't graduate from Chilton.
No, he didn't. But you can still be considered an alumni of a school that you went to. You don't have to have graduated to be considered alumni.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
It says here, he was probably there with Francie. Yeah, that's probably true. Okay.
Desire to go back, but
maybe he's just there for the free food. Who knows? All right. Yeah. Did you buy that they would offer her this job? That seemed a reach.
It wasn't exactly a job offer, though. It was more like a conversation. Like, have you thought about doing this, and would you consider coming back here? And I think I didn't feel like it was a reach because I think Headmaster Charleston, like, has a genuine interest in her. And I think he kind of sees that she's in a tailspin and is trying to offer her something, trying to help her get back on track. So I think that's realistic. I mean, as an educator, I could see doing something like that for a student that I knew was really bright and capable and obviously was not making it with what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just for me, it seemed like the list of people that are dying to teach at a school like that would probably be forever long. So that's the only part of it that seemed a little unrealistic. But yeah, you're right. They're probably not really that unrealistic.
I don't know how desirable a job that is, because as expensive and fancy as that school is, the caliber of people that are going to be able to teach there are the caliber of people who are going to be able to make a lot more money somewhere else in some other endeavor, usually. So
yeah, that's probably true, especially if you have to have a master's degree, unlike regular, like a high school or whatever. Yeah. And Bianca says, you're right, he was concerned that she didn't have a permanent address, which makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if he hadn't heard some things or noticed some red flags prior to that conversation. Yeah, I think he saw a student that he really believed in who was struggling and was trying to throw her a bone.
That makes sense. All right, well, okay, so my next question is... wish Google Hangouts wasn't so spastic. Stupid Google Hangouts. Okay, so my next question is, did Rory... Okay, wait, we already kind of talked about... Sandy says that, because Rory is supposed to be a freelance journalist. You know, I mean, a freelance journalist does not go to an interview with no ideas. Like, that's just crazy. And so, but anyway, let's talk about sort of the last plot strand in the episode was about Luke going to dinner at Emily's and finding out that Richard had given him money in the will, but only if he used it to build a Luke's Diner empire. Do you feel like this is something that the character of Richard would do? That's in keeping with, that he would do something like that?
I do. Yeah. I mean, when you think about kind of what they went through with Luke, that seems to make sense with the whole... he really did want Luke to franchise. He was really pushing for that. And he let it go, like he made his peace with, Luke isn't going to do that. But he's a Gilmore. Of course he's going to try and find a backdoor way to make it happen anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain part that's just like, should Luke consider this a little bit more, I guess, seriously than he does.
Yeah, I mean, and Lorelai too, she's feeling like, Michelle's getting restless. And really, that's what people do. They grow, and their businesses grow, and they make changes so that they can accommodate the growth of their business.
Yeah, I guess that...
And neither of them are doing that. They're just kind of stuck in these businesses that are kind of stale. They've quality businesses that earn money, but like either one of them could very easily grow their business, and they're just kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially, where is it supposed to be in Connecticut? Stars Hollow? Stars Hollow?
It's supposed to be near Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay. Connecticut is very expensive. And so, like, you'd almost, by necessity, you'd almost have to have more than one. I mean, to really make it, if we're talking realism, of course, it's just a show, but you'd almost have to have more than one these days to make it and to really support his, pay for his mortgage and his family and everything else. So, let's see, Bianca says, Richard and Emily always thought Lorelai needed help finding someone suitable. So I think Richard saw this as a compromise.
Yeah, he's trying to make Luke the kind of guy he wants Lorelai to be with, since that's who Lorelai wants to be with.
Yeah. And probably trying in his own way to give her some kind of financial stability, since they're not married, and I don't know, just trying to do something. And so, yeah, I feel like that it's a very predictable plot thread. I kind of feel like I know exactly what's going to happen with that, but it was sort of fun. It was fun to see them, him get all sort of, him deal with Emily and him go to dinner. And it seems hard to believe that they would never have done that, like that in all these years, I guess. They've been dating they've been together for 9 years. You think he would have gone over for dinner a little bit more?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it was an amusing scene, I thought.
They must have just had an agreement of don't like each other, and the drama is lessened if we just keep our distance.
Yeah. But. Interesting. So, believe it or not, that's actually my last question. I kind of went over everything in the episode. I don't know. Did you have any other parts you wanted to talk about? I guess there was there was the whole celebrity staying at the other hotel thing. I don't know, that whole plot line.
To the whole my business isn't at least what other people think it should be.
Yeah.
The stagnating. And one thing I noticed is Lorelai is doing with chefs what Emily did with maids for so many years.
Oh, that's interesting.
She's kind of her mother in some respects.
Yeah, that reminds me, because she fires she fires
Rachel Ray.
That was kind of funny.
That was funny. I liked having Rachel Ray in the show. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, that was funny. And also, there was also another funny cameo by Mae Whitman in the line because she was her daughter on Parenthood, and I think she says something like, what would it be like to be your mother? Or there's some line about being her mother or something like that. Yeah. That was funny. Yeah.
I really loved Lorelai in New York with Rory.
Yeah.
And all these people are waiting in lines, and Lorelai finds a way to hustle somebody and get the thing that everybody's waiting for in line.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that, because she gets she gets the pastries, she gets the shoes, she gets.
Yeah, she gets everything. It's really funny. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah, and they had a nice, mother-daughter kind of, I don't know, even though I thought the one-night stand was sort of stupid, I thought their sort of interactions together were nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I liked, they were really them together in that New York scene. And I like that.
Yeah. So my favorite part was definitely like I said, the Paris in the bathroom fighting. That was hilarious. That made me laugh. And but yeah, I would say that I definitely liked this a lot less than the first episode. So hope this summer is a little bit better.
Yeah, it was definitely a more bummer of an episode than the first one. I'm curious to see how I'll feel about it as the series plays out, as I watch the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because they may just been this was sort of more the seed planting episode, and then we'll get 3 and 4. We'll have sort of the more of the meat kind of thing. But I just, I was just like, come on, you got to make these characters more likable. You can't make them so just mean. And they did by the end, I was starting feeling a little bit better about them. But man, for about an hour, I was like, oh, come on. And I'm surprised they made each of these episodes 90 minutes.
I'm starting to think it might have been a better idea to make more episodes that were shorter.
Yeah.
I think I understand. I think part of the reason they did this was because it was logistically easier. It was easier to get the cast and the people that they wanted for, it doesn't take very long to shoot 4 90-minute episodes. It probably takes a lot longer to shoot 5 or 6 hour-long episodes,
Yeah, probably. I don't know the mechanics of all that, so you could be right.
I don't know, but that's kind of the impression I got. Is part of the reason they formatted it the way they did is so they could get other projects. But yeah, the pacing of it is just so different, and I love the way they're handling the 90-minute format.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a little. It feels a little long, but oh well. Is what it is, I guess. But yeah, Bianca agrees with us. Winter was better. So.
Yeah, winter was definitely better.
So.
I hope as we get into summer and fall that they really give us something we can sink our teeth into and that we really love and makes us in Lorelai and not think they're total turds.
Yeah, I hope they give us some warmth. We need more warmth in these characters, and that because that was something, even with all the fast talking and the other stuff in the original show. Like, I never hated any of them. I always felt there was always enough sort of warmth there. And this episode, it was just a little too, I don't know, just I was just like
cold, like they're so unfeeling. Like, there's no consideration for anyone else, and there's no, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not the, like, loving, inclusive people that we knew and loved. No.
Yeah, it's kind of like I saw The Edge of 17, which is this movie, this teenager movie about this girl who's 17, and it was super well done. Like, it was very accurate to that type of teenager. The script was very good, but it was kind of, for me, it was kind of unpleasant to watch, because it's just like, yes, you did a very good job doing what you were trying to do, and I really admire you for that, but I don't really like spending 2 hours with this petulant teenager. Like, that's not something I enjoy. Like, I walked out of it being like, ugh. Like, good job, you did a good job, but I never want to watch this film ever again.
That is funny. Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, so there you go. But
teenager, you feel differently about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was part of the thing where I was like, as I was watching it, I'm like, I need to call, as soon as I was like, I need to call my mom and say I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry, I was such a jerk when I was 17. like, I'm not even exaggerating. I really did feel that way. I'm like, oh man, because it reminded me of, different times in my life when I was a teen that I was, I thought she was just the devil. Oh, something to look forward to with Lorena.
Times.
So, all right. Well, that's good. And so we will talk about summer in the middle of winter. So this will be fun. And thanks so much, Bianca, for your comments. I really appreciate it. And so where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at Abby_kid. I'm also on Instagram with that same handle, or my blog is jeremyandabby.wordpress.com.
Yeah, awesome. I have that all in the description. And so thanks again, and we'll be talking next week, hopefully.
All right, thanks.